What is up, party people? Welcome, you fucking nerds, to the latest crossover episode of the Brandolorian and the Galactic podcast. We are here, as we have been throughout the whole of Skeleton Crew, to react and review to every single episode. We've got episode 7 today. Brandolorian, Brandon, my boy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We're getting straight fucking to it, you nerds. God damn it! If you're not in here yet, chime in. I just posted on Instagram that we're live now, so make sure you chime on in and let us know your thoughts. But I'm doing good, man. I'm actually in a better place than last week with the Skeleton Crew, so I'm excited to talk about that with you. But how have you been, man?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much, brother. Yeah, we couldn't exactly. I'm not. It's not like we were in like a really, really bad place last week, but let's just say it was quite boring, and it was only going to go up. Hopefully, anyway. I mean, God knows if it went worse than last week, then I don't know what state we'd be in today. But thankfully, it didn't go that way. A little bit of a better episode this week, but one episode to go, brother. I mean, episodes 1 to 7. How are you feeling about it so far?
Well, on a grade scale, we can go a really solid 7 out of 10. I feel like it could be a little bit better. I feel like the pacing started off pretty good, but towards the middle, where like we've spoke before, where Star Wars likes to take that, mountaintop climb between episode 4 and 5. I feel like we just are now just getting there. But maybe we'll see what happens next week. A lot can happen in I'm going to go ahead and guess it's going to be 38-minute finale. I don't see it being more than a 45-minute finale for sure. So if I'm going to guess, I'm going to go with a 39, but I'm going to go with a strong 7 out of 10 overall so far.
Yeah, it's not been the most exciting Star Wars show that I've watched, or Star Wars film. That's for sure. I'm struggling to place it in amongst everything, because Star Wars is obviously something that we love so much that we want every single show or film or whatever to have a serious impact on the wider Star Wars universe and the scale of where we put everything. And this kind of just rates as like a mid-nothingish series for me anyway, in terms of like where it ranks and everything, because it's not really adding much to the Star Wars universe as a whole. It's like, even as a novel, if this was a novel, it's not really adding any depth to the Star Wars universe. It's not adding like a new race of people, or it's not adding anything sort of significant right now to the Star Wars universe. It really isn't. It hasn't had that impact yet. And considering it's supposed to be crossing over, as we've talked about every single week with the Mandoverse and everything else, I'm really struggling to where to place this in my Star Wars universe at the moment. So I mean, before we properly dive into episode 7, make sure everyone at home, if you're not following on and liking everything on social media and across all of where our podcasts go, please make sure you're jumping on to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, every fucking place you could possibly think of. Go follow Brandolorian, the Galactic podcast, and make sure you're jumping on and getting all of our content. It's going to be a big year for both of us. We've got a lot coming up. I'm covering obviously a lot of stuff in terms of Star Wars, Marvel, DC, a few other nerdy bits and pieces. Brandolorian, if you don't really know, I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. If you don't know what this boy's all about yet, I mean, welcome to the show if you don't. But this boy is going to be covering obviously lots of Star Wars stuff. He's got his seasonal podcast going on. He's covering Lego, he's covering Funko Pops, he's covering a few other bits and pieces as well. Bit of lore going on, but he's definitely worth following. But episode 7, let's get to it then. That's what we're here for.
Let's do it.
Definitely better than last week's sort of filler episode, right? When we didn't need a filler episode. Let's just have a recap of what the synopsis was, just to sort of go through it. So Jod, as always throughout the series, has been talking his way out of moments of death and convinces the pirates to get to Atatin. And him and the kids aboard the Onyx Cinder arrive all at the same time, resulting in the kids' capture. Realizing that the ship is the only key to bypassing the planet's defensive barrier, Jod kills Brutus when the children manage to incapacitate him, resuming his former captaincy, and tells the pirates to conceal themselves whilst he obtains the location of the planet's vaults. The children manage to use the pirate code to get SM-33 to turn on Jod so they can escape. But Jod stores aboard the Onyx and decapitates SM-33 with a lightsaber and threatens the children into silence as he poses as a Republic emissary to gain access to Anne's vaults. The children are briefly reunited with their parents before Jod approaches them and ignites his lightsaber. Finally, a bit of lightsaber action. We weren't necessarily expecting it in this series, but nice to see a little bit of it. We're going to get to that. But yeah, episode 7. Where's your head at after last week's sort of filler?
Oh yeah, after last week, it's a huge skyrocket. We're going straight up, and I feel like we're finally being able to look into what the skeleton crew might become, because it seems like this at this point it's just kind of like a dive low. It's not really anything cool. Oh yeah.
Amy just saying Brandon looking cool in his birthday t-shirt that he got that he revealed last week. Definitely
it's beautiful.
Looking cool, my
I
brother.
love it. Feels great.
Nice pickup as well. I'm so fucking tired. I didn't even notice. My apologies.
Oh no, you're good. It's it's a good one. But yeah, I just think it's really weird how last week can be such a filler episode and then bounce into this, which had a slow start as well. But I feel like, especially like in the synopsis you just read, it was Jod like for the first 10-15 minutes just kind of saving himself once again, and then basically trying to get all of the pirates to join him. And I thought it was really cool though that he stood up to Brutus. I didn't think that he would actually do that, because Brutus was actually seeming like a real like force factor in this episode. I thought Jod could die at some point. You never know. I don't know how he's going to tie in with things in the Mandoverse, but at the same time, I think it's just going to be really difficult to see a character now take the villain side, because Jod just doesn't seem like a villain to me. He just, obviously he's a pirate, and we still don't know his backstory, but maybe like what's the bigger picture for Jod, and how does this lead to the children? You get what I'm saying? It's just kind of like a weird gray area.
It's probably been one of my biggest sort of picking points about this series is all along we've wanted a bit more of what Jod's backstory is. The whole thing of he's a survivor of Order 66. We needed to have that information filled in for us. Of he's obviously got force abilities, but we just haven't had any of that. So, like, where does he stand? Where does his character stand? Not only in sort of like what he is in terms of what do we label him as? Is he a pirate? Is he a former Jedi? Is he none of these things? And he's just someone that's out for his own benefit at the end of the day, whether that's as a pirate or a former Jedi or what. So yeah, I think we need a bit. I mean, again, there's going to be a lot to wrap up in the season finale.
Yeah.
Like you said at the start, we're likely to get a 38-minute, 35-minute finale. This is the history of the Disney era of Marvel and Star Wars right now, is that everything is put towards the last episode that needs a lot of answers filled in, and we're not probably going to get all of them filled in, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought this seemed to be more of Jod's episode than anyone else's. I think it's about the kids returning home. It's about them finally getting to Atatin, but there seemed to be more about Jod's lifelong wish, it seems, of having a big score finally coming to finally coming true. Sorry. So yeah, I think there's side of him that we need to see a bit more of. We need to know what's going on with his history, and we're just not getting that. But on the flip side of that, we finally at Atatin after an entire series away from it. First of all, when they arrive, we talked about it before we started the show. You get to see obviously the bar and everything from the outside. This beautiful swirling electrical storm of surrounding it. The visuals in this series, as you would absolutely expect from modern day Star Wars, have been stunning. Have they not?
Yeah. I think that the barrier, from what it seemed like, I thought it was more of like an ozone type thin layer that was around the planet itself. But no, like we're going in and you think it's kind of like it gives you like a gas giant-esque feeling. So I was just like, okay, interesting. And then seeing all of the like monitors and shooting out the electricity. So now we really get the barrier feeling and what's being, protected. But it kind of gave me like a flashback to like Mortis kind of. It was such a weird, just like, diamond-esque shape where you're like, okay, what is this, a planet? Is this like are they hallucinating? What are they seeing? So when the kids finally see the planet from what it looks like inside of a planet, that was really interesting to me because I did what I was expecting. Like I said, I thought it was just a thin layer around the planet itself, but it's just like that is such a hidden planet. It makes even more sense now. So it's just kind of like a ball within a ball, and the kids seeing it too. I thought the acting there was really really cool. Just their authentic looking experience seeing their home planet that they've never seen from this side before. So I think that was probably one of the bigger takeaways for me is I thought that whole moment was just pretty clear and it looked really well and it was performed excellent.
Yeah, I think this shot, along with, I know the one you liked from episode 3, where they're like walking on the moon, and you
Oh,
had like the Jupiter-like planet behind them. That was visually stunning, along with just how they managed to make this planet look from the outside of that barrier. So, props to them on that front. You can't really complain about how the visuals have been in this series. We did get that bit with the parents, didn't we? They're down on the planet. They're putting this communicator together, and just sort of like the zap and run bit where they're obviously confronted by the droids and one person gets zapped and it's like tagged on to the next person until it gets to Fern's mum, who manages to float it up to the sky, and the message gets out there and the pirates obviously hear it as well. And this is when it's quite funny because you've got like Jod and Brutus going up against each other. Like you said earlier, Jod calling out Brutus in this episode was quite funny because he's thinking of ways he can stop himself from being killed, and he's like, right, I need to kind of go on the offensive now. So he's like, Brutus, are you that stupid? Like, of course it's not going to be easy to get through. It's not going to be a simple thing, is it? But then obviously they got the captured kids, and we see the message coming from the parents. I actually quite enjoyed that because you see, whilst the kids have enjoyed their adventure, getting back home and seeing their parents, they were like, holy crap, I actually want to be back here and get to see them. Because like Wim has been the little whining, I think for this series, Wim has had the Skywalker whine for this series. He's been the little whiny one, and for him to like sort of see his dad on that message and be like, I kind of miss my dad, I kind of want to see him again, after he was saying if we get back home the adventures come to an end.
yeah.
But then we also got the classic, or we almost had it. We had half of it, didn't we? The classic, I have a bad feeling about this line, coming from Numa, Neil's mum. I was like, sometimes I just want them to say the line in full because you kind of like teasing us, isn't it, when you go to say it and you don't really. It's like in Rogue One when Kato was saying it's like, I have a bad, and they're like, shut up, Kato. And you're like, just let the dude say the line. Come on, just let us hear it.
Come on.
But yeah, what do you reckon to the whole Jod Brutus thing? Because obviously Brutus then it goes to board the ship, doesn't he, when they've captured the Onyx Cinder, and he's captured by the claw thing, as my wife quite brutally points out here, followed by a claw machine. And then quite brutally, Jod kind of basically kills him there and then and reclaims the captaincy, which kind of cool in a way. I wasn't expecting that, to be fair.
Yeah, it is cold. I was really surprised. It was one of those scenes, kind of like in the Kenobi series was the last time I remembered a death happening, and I was just kind of like, oh shit, that just happened. Especially on Mapuzo with the choking the older guy in the middle of the alley and then snapping the kid's neck. Very very non-skeleton crew. Hopefully that doesn't happen in this finale. But I mean, I just was very surprised because, like I said, I didn't think Brutus was all that scary for a little bit, and then over time they just took the pirates away, and then now they're back, and then it was like, okay, now we're really getting into it. So I think that's going to be really interesting going forward. But I mean, yeah, Brutus getting captured by the claw, I wasn't expecting it, just because I thought he was going to get on the ship, take the kids, and then they would all take the Onyx Cinder, have them hostage. That way all the pirates are getting in, and maybe some of like Brutus, Jod, and some of the other like top notch, maybe Vane, some of the other top notch pirates, they'll take like a little group, get to At-Atten, and then search. But yeah, once he got grabbed by the claw and then just right off camera, cold dead shot right there. Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe Jod isn't playing around. But still, it's just such a weird thing to grasp with him. I think the mystery surrounding him is still pretty interesting. But yeah, that kill, I was not expecting it.
And then when Jod claims back the Onyx Cinder, because after like SM33 has been fucking around. Well, he's been pretty strict actually in terms of the pirate code. He's like always been enforcing the pirate code at every turn. So whenever he's like, "This is my captain. I'm doing what they say." And then, like when Jod challenged Fern for the leadership of the captaincy, he's like, "Yeah, it's the pirate code. You got to do it." And then here, when he's like, "Oh, actually, you just reclaimed like captaincy of the frigate, so the captaincy of the Alexander is up for challenge," but he claims it back straight away. And then there's this weird moment when Fern's like, "Unclaims these. I claim this ship is for kids only," and like all of a sudden, SM33 almost like decides that he's had enough, and he's just like, "Yeah, close enough, sod it," and he's like just starts attacking the pirates and stuff.
Yeah.
And Jod, sorry. So where do you stand on the fact that SM33's been pretty on the nose and following everything to a T during the series, and then all of a sudden he's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like close enough, we'll do it, and he sides with the kids.
Yeah, I thought SM33 was, super OG in a sense, so he's gonna really stick to the script. But I was a little confused too, because I was like, well, how did she? What's unclaimsies? Like, what is this? I get it, they're kids, that's what kids say, but I didn't know unless you announce that it's unclaimed, or if something just wasn't worded right on both sides, and maybe she was still able to knock in and take the claim. So I was pretty confused there, but I did love seeing SM33 just that metal fist just swing across the screen, and then Jod's helmet was cracked, and then he falls down. I was like, yes, I love seeing that.
Do you think there's anything more to the helmet that Jod's using? Because we see it in the very first episode when he's like trying to find that big score, and he brings it back immediately, like almost the first scene after he reclaims the captaincy. We're seeing back in the helmet. I mean, I don't know if there's any significance to the helmet. It reminds me of in Star Wars Outlaws when you go to the planet, was it Kajimi? That we saw in The Rise of Skywalker. There's a clan on there called the Ashiga, and they wear these very similar looking helmets. I mean, that's what it reminded me of almost immediately. But do you think there's any significance in it, or it's just a random helmet? Because there's no reason for him to wear one, really, unless he is trying to hide himself from other people when he's going around the galaxy being a pirate.
Yeah, that's a good tactic. I mean, to have his face covered, maybe if whatever his upbringing was, if he did run away, from the Jedi or after anything Order 66, maybe he got with a group and this is what they were wearing, so he's still kind of paying homage to them. It kind of, I feel like the helmet is like shaped like Zepho kind of, but has like Leia's Bausch helmet kind of like vibes as well. But then mentioning Kajimi, I was thinking it has Zori Bliss's helmet, like colorway. So I don't know. I feel like it's like a mixture of all these things, but it's just what it reminds me of. I know if I pulled up a picture of his helmet, put it next to all them, it would just look completely off. But it kind of it reminds me of all of those put together. But I don't know. He's still so mysterious that it's hard to tell, and I'm actually scared we might not get to see some of that next week, because I don't know. I mean, we'll have a lot more to talk about next week, but at this point, I mean, are we looking at a season 2? I don't think we should, because I don't know where it would go from here. But I mean, we still have one episode left before we can really, really judge and let that dictate the final outcome.
I mean, they have talked about the fact they have a plan for season 2, don't they? I know that they sort of mentioned it already. That if we get greenlit for a season 2, we've kind of got plans in the mix already. But then it was talked about how there could be a time jump for the kids. I'm like, but if you're mixing this into the Mandoverse, how can you have a time jump of a few years? Like maybe you could have you could say like the events of obviously Mandalorian season 1 to 3, Ahsoka season 1 and 2, and this is a season 1 and 2. It could span like 5 years. So it's not exactly like all in one place, but this is supposed to take place sort of like pretty much straight after season 3 of The Mandalorian. That was the confirmation we got because of Vane being in this series, that it's post the Gorian Shard episodes of The Mandalorian. So having a time jump of 3 or 4 years seems a bit of maybe of a leap as well. So where we stand on a season 2, I don't know if they'll fit a season 2 in, because obviously we're supposed to get Mandalorian and Grogu film in 2026. After that's going to be Ahsoka season 2, and I suppose it's supposed to be the Thrawn film after that. So that's the only place they fit in a season 2, isn't it? Between Ahsoka season 2 and the Thrawn film, only place to put it. And maybe you could have a year or two's time jump. It wouldn't be too much of a thing. But again, I guess that all depends on the story that we get told in the Mandalorian Grogu film and Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah,
I'm guessing Ahsoka season 2 carries on pretty much where it finished. So there's not going to be like a time jump in it or anything like that, is there? So okay, back. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, I was just saying that's what I heard. That's what I've heard too. Is that it's just gonna be a continuation because I mean the other seasons too. It's gonna be hard, like Mando and Grogu. Like, how's that gonna set up to the Thrawn film and Skeleton Crew, and then Ahsoka, of course, them being the main focal point. I feel like that's especially the Thrawn movie since he's from Ahsoka series. Like, I feel like it has to have like a good mix in from the Ahsoka series because that's where Thrawn's, making his live action debut and like where's it going from there, leaving off on Dathomir. I feel like there's just so much story in between, so I'm kind of scared to see like what's next in that.
Although, just before we jump back to the episode, where do you stand on the rumors that Thrawn is going to appear in the Mandalorian and Grogu film?
Ooh, that would be dope. What if it's? I wonder. I mean, I would love it. I would love it 100%. You got me thinking, but maybe he gets like a small appearance at the end. Maybe
a small part in it, just like there's going to be. Maybe I was thinking about this when I saw the rumors about it. I think it was last week. That there's obviously rumors that the Dark Council that we saw from Mandalorian season 3 are going to be making an appearance in this, and maybe Thrawn addresses them as part of the film. Because he's now back on board and he's like, I'm here to put things back on track to revitalize the Empire, and he's back in for taking over that Dark Council.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, of course, Moff Gideon talking to them and them not believing that Thrawn, is still being talked about and out there somewhere. Him coming back would definitely make them all shit bricks. I would actually love to see that.
Fair. Back to the episode. So they're on the Onyx and they're traveling back down to the planet. And we see them going through the I guess the storm and the shield and the barrier and stuff like that. And I spoke to you before. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Blue Shadow Virus episodes of Clone Wars when Anakin and Obi-Wan go off to a planet whose name I can't remember, and they to find a route, and they're trapped by a barrier that keeps people in the planet rather than sort of getting in, rather than coming outside in and stuff like that. But it was a nice little sort of like hint, giving it vibes off the same thing. But when they clear through, they're taken off on autopilot to go and land, and they land at. And while they're obviously taken down out there, they said, "Oh, a Republic emissary is here." We get an announcement, don't we, on the planet from the supervisor himself, finally, and going, a Republic emissary is here to start obviously transfer. So he's there to obviously collect credits or something in the vaults to see what's going on. Just a quite nice little Easter egg here is that, did you know who the voice of the supervisor was?
It did sound familiar. What it kind of reminded me of was I think he's the mayor or the like leader of Lothal. That guy. That's what it sounded like to me.
Well, I know what you mean. I had a few different things in my head of who it was. My wife actually got it spot on, to be fair. She guessed immediately. Stephen Fry, who's a British actor. He's been in a few different things. I think in terms of big Hollywood stuff, he was in the Hobbit trilogy. He played like the mayor of Lake Town, who was like the self-involved sort of guy. I mean, if you looked him up, you might recognize him. He's been in, obviously I know him very well because he's a very famous British actor and sort of TV guy. So to have his voice in it was quite good. Known for his roles in Jeeves and Wooster, Blackadder, Gosford Park, V for Vendetta, The Hobbit. He also voiced all 7 of the audiobooks for Harry Potter. And he's knighted over here as well. So technically it's Sir Stephen Fry.
Oh shit. Yeah, I just looked him up. I haven't looked at his list of movies, but is he in Leprechaun by chance with Warwick Davis?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know everything that he's done off the top of my head.
He looks like this guy right at the beginning. Obviously Warwick Davis plays the leprechaun,
Hmm,
and that's where his gold is right at the beginning. And he has like a 2-minute part right at the beginning showing kind of like the origin of like why the leprechaun has started. Um, but I don't he might just look like him.
fair. It was a nice little Easter egg for those that do know him. And I didn't recognize his voice, but obviously I'm very familiar with the guy. So I'm guessing maybe in the finale episode we actually get to see him in person, and see what the crack is with the supervisor after all. So, but obviously they go and land, don't they? Out of this like Thunderbird style landing pad that comes out of the like the ground.
Yeah.
Um, which is quite amusing to be fair. Amy saying, "I love the fact that no one knew the landing pad existed on the grass because like it just curves up and everyone's like having to fall off the side of
Falling
it."
down, yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, man, what the hell?
But then it's automatically taken down into the ground, and they're taken straight away to the vault. Again, we talked about before we started here the vault, the massive size of these vaults, the doors on the outside gave off banking clan vibes from the Clone Wars. When Padme gets to go into one, just the sheer size of it just gave me that sort of vibe, to be fair. But my God, they announced that there was like, I can't remember the exact number, 1,200 whatever it was, vaults that they've got on the planet that are just filled with all these old Republic credits. So this planet is literally minted from all the credits that it's got. And
Man.
Judd gets in that vault, doesn't he? And he nearly fucking cries. Well, he's cheering with joy, but he cries with joy when he sees how many credits are there and that he can literally start taking this. I don't know what his plan is to try and get it out with all the security droids around, as if he's going to play through this role of being the Republic emissary and can take as many credits as he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually quite like this going down to the vault and the big final reveal that we get to see what the big treasure of Assassin was, which is literally they've got fucking credits for days.
Yeah, it's endless. And I just love the fact that all of the carts on the side look just like when Andor scored that heist for all the Imperial credits. That was a
Yeah.
that was probably my favorite episode of that whole first season, and that's exactly what that reminded me of. But it was almost kind of like wow, like everything in this episode was just shot, visually 100. Like everything looks it like you could tell how big the vault was, and just the sheer number of knowing that there's over 1,000 of them is almost just like, okay, how big is this planet actually? Is like the entire core just full of these credits. Very interesting. I love that entire part. But something else too I was gonna bring up. What about Wim's dad saying once everything's settled, he'll then tell him, the truth and like what's going on? Do you think it's like, do they know about all of the mint, the money and all of that underneath? Like, do you think they know that, or
Guessing they must have to in some way, because he said that when they had the hologram message, he goes, "Oh, normally these things aren't revealed to you until you turn 18." So whether it's like all the adults that work within the government, they know that there's obviously the barrier on the planet that keeps them disconnected, that they make all these credits for the Republic, and every now and again they turn up to fetch them. But yeah, it's just really bizarre that they've obviously been keeping things secret for sure. We kind of knew that with the parents.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure in terms of what else he's got to tell him, whether there's that was everything, or whether he's going to reveal that like this is what happens when you turn 18 if you're selected, because you still got to do his test thing, isn't he? He was talking about it before when he's like, I've still got to go back and do my test or whatever, and that decides where you end up working or what you end up doing. And maybe those that are selected to go and work for the government or whatever, or for the supervisor, are let in on the big secret. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
much of that will actually get told, but kind of just adds to the mystery of it. That like I'm guessing there's a chunk of this planet know what the story is. I mean, interested to hear your thoughts on this, but the fact that this planet has been kept secret from the rest of the galaxy for probably hundreds of years now, and they still work under the whole assumption that the Republic still exists. They don't know anything about the Galactic Republic falling, the Empire, the New Republic. They know nothing about that. How often has a Republic emissary turned up to collect credits? Have they just continued making them this entire time? And this is why they've got thousands of volts worth of credits. and they've just gone, well, one day they'll come and pick them up. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, that would be my guess. I think it would be really cool if we kind of got a callback to a character maybe from the older public that we know about that once maybe showed up here to, you know, collect. I think that would be a good shout, kind of poking in all spots of Star Wars. I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans would really love some older public shouts. So maybe that could be a good start. But yeah, it's it's pretty interesting as a whole.
Then we get the bit at the end. I mean, we'd already seen Jod cut off SM-33's head with a lightsaber and ignited it. So, you know, rest in peace, SM-33. You're done for now. But then we get the bit at the end where the parents sort of show up and get reunited with the kids, isn't it? And then there's almost like a Revenge of the Sith moment when Yod kind of walks up to them and ignites his lightsaber, and you get the sort of shot from behind his hand with the lightsaber ignited. It kind of looks like a bit like Anakin when he goes up to the kids in the council chamber and ignites the saber, because you get the shot in Revenge of the Sith from behind Anakin's left hand, and this is done with Yod's right hand. But it's that gave me very much Revenge of the Sith vibes going on. And in whether he was, I want to see what happens next, whether he was igniting a saber and he's going to say to the parents, oh, by the way, I'm a Republic emissary, I'm a Jedi, I'm here to supervise the transfer of credits, or whether he was like going to threaten them all and be like, look, you're going to help me load up as much as we can onto the ship, and then we're all going to get on and we're all going to leave and go back to the pirate ship. Or what? Now he's got his fortune, if he's going to load it on to the Onyx Cylinder, does he need to go back and share it with the pirates? Or can he just disappear himself? But yeah, Revenge of the Sith vibes. And then what do you reckon happens straight away in this situation at the start of the next episode?
I feel like if it is any other scene other than exactly where it leaves off, I feel like that is just an immediate loss. Like, you have to tie right back in, because even after this scene, I was like, oh, I hear the score. Like, titles are coming or credits are coming. So I was like, okay, no, like where do my first thoughts go? You know, like, is he actually going to threaten the family, or he just kind of poses, you know, as a Jedi? That way they're like, oh, wow, you know, because if they don't have anyone coming in, what kind of information are they going to know about the outside? So yeah, they're very backwards and behind from what it seems like, especially just with how the parents talk to each other, what they think is going on. But yeah, I love the Revenge of the Sith vibes there. I think that's really cool, especially, you know, it's like, oh, Jod's a youngling slayer as well. Great. There's not just one in the galaxy. But yeah, I mean, I think if it starts anywhere else other than where it leaves off, like that it has to be done that one way. And obviously that's going to be the main question going into next week, other than how is this going to end? But where's he going with this? You know, he's done so many weird things all season, and it's just like, what kind of person is he? You know, we know he's slimy, and ultimately he's a backstabber as well. So, I mean, he has everything he wants right here in front of him. So how's he going to handle that? And I don't know. I did, though, read the actress that plays KB was asked what the last 2 episodes look like, and all she said was death. That's it. So, I mean, Brutus died already. One of the pirates that got on the snub fighter and left died, which was really cool. Also, that they showed the snub fighter, because that's the Lego set I have that comes with Vane. It's actually a really sleek ship. But it's like, who else is gonna die? I feel like someone else has to die in the finale. We need something. But I don't know. It's gonna be weird. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that the young actress had said that about the last 2 episodes, so it's going to be interesting. I fully expect maybe the pirate frigate to get blown up and all the pirates maybe die. So if they say death, there's a lot of death there to be fair. Part of me thinks that Jod is the one that links into the Mandoverse somehow. Somehow he gets pulled into that situation. But at the same point, I'm like, he could quite easily die in this last episode as well, and it be a conclusion to his part of this story. So I'm really unsure which way to go next week in terms of what I expect to happen. All you can say is that the kids will probably survive. I don't think we're looking at an Anakin situation here.
Disney can't do that, Disney.
I mean, I don't even think Disney would take out Neil at this point, would they? So, um,
That's
so
how you
it's
grew.
going to be interesting to see where it goes. But Maria, Skeleton Crew is dope. I'm really glad you're enjoying it, Maria. It's obviously been a mixed bag for some of us, but if you're enjoying it, hell yes, well done. I'm absolutely loving that you're loving it. To be fair, that's the whole point, isn't it? If you're loving it, then it's all good.
So,
And then we've also got Poptography. Hello there, fellows. Hello,
what's
buddy.
up?
Hope you are doing well.
What up, man?
I'm guessing he's one of your followers, not one of mine.
Yes, he does a lot of Funko Pop photography.
Nice.
And I think he's dipping into the AI side, so he's kind of making some of the Funko photos come to life. So pretty cool. Go check him out.
I mean, it's good to see those differing opinions because there's always going to be different opinions, especially when it comes to Star Wars. Anyway, so Maria's loving it, and someone else who maybe isn't loving it so much, Malekith. What's up, guys? Can't believe I'm saying this. I'm happy that when we will get Andor season 2 and this childish series is finally over. So there we go. This is what it's all about: the differing opinions of all Star Wars fans, which is not exactly a new trend either to have differing opinions in the Star Wars universe. Because Maria says that Skeleton Crew is saving the Star Wars reputation. So interesting, Maria, to know what you think it's saving it from in terms of its reputation. Where do you think it's fallen down compared to maybe where others have thought? So that's what I love about discussing it with the fans, though, is that everyone's got such different opinions of what works, what doesn't work, what's doing well, what now, and what isn't. So in terms of Skeleton Crew, though, this finale episode coming up, I'm just so torn about where it's going to go and what it's going to be doing. I'm just torn about where you can go in the finale. I really don't know at this point. Normally, you've got a fairly clear idea. They've got so much to wrap up. Poptography saying that the latest episode was awesome. He didn't see that coming for SM33. Bless SM33.
Damn, I don't think he expected it either.
No, definitely not. But I think John has been saving that, and he's been saving that lightsaber for the right moment to use it. And that was obviously when you're about to get pummeled by a droid, is a good time to use it.
Yeah. What do you think of maybe somehow Jod he basically has like a warrant. Maybe, I don't know if the civilians of Atten are going to finally figure out the truth, that since they haven't been out, like what they're working for. The Jedi have been gone. The Republic, obviously has fallen and is kind of coming back up in a nuisance. What if somehow they get out and maybe Kim, she had like a 15-minute arc, I feel like, within the Skeleton Crew. What if she kind of, like, we're going back, like we've said before, maybe she kind of gets, the Republic to go after Jod. So now he has a warrant. And then where we see in the Mandalorian season 3, we see that he goes to Carson Teva and Zeb. They're all at the bar and he's looking for, some work to do. Maybe one of his jobs is to go out and find Jod. So maybe this is how that gets connected in Skeleton Crew wise, because I really don't think the kids are going to be the Stitch. I don't think maybe we see them in the Filoni Endgame movie, but I just don't know what they could do. I mean, they're children. They're not going to be fighting frontline. I just don't see that happening. The only child that can do that, obviously, is Grogu, but he has some
He's
exceptions.
50. He's not a child. He's 50. He's fucking older than me.
But yeah, I mean, I just don't see where else this connect. But we still have a finale episode to get with. So I mean, it's good to get the wheels turning, though.
Yeah, I think at this point, to like, if Mando showed up in the finale episode, it would almost felt like like forced in for me to connect it, like, because it's not a bad idea having like Jod being someone that the New Republic is after, because obviously by whatever one of the many names that he has, and Mando being someone that hunts him down is not the worst idea, actually. In terms of, it's a decent idea to connect it, but that maybe needed to happen as like a brief cameo earlier in the episode, like Mando meets up with Kim or something, the owl cat thing, and was just like oh, so I'm after this guy. I heard you know a bit about him, and she like can point him saying where he thinks where she thinks he's going to, and later and then he catches up with him in this episode or the finale. But to have him just randomly show up in the last episode would be a bit too much, I think. A forced connection that they're trying to make to give it that tie into the Mandoverse. Like I said, if Jod is someone that has a bit of a Jedi background, and that somehow he gets drawn into the battle and is convinced to do it for the greater good, then you can have that as a tie, and I wouldn't be too mad about it, I guess. But yeah, so much to cover. The finale of obviously what's going on with the supervisor and the parents, obviously Jod's situation with the kids, and how this can possibly tie into the Mandoverse moving forward. Otherwise, it's just a standalone series if it doesn't tie in. But waiting until the last episode, as I said, it could feel forced, and that they haven't really made a connection to it. They've just tried to throw it in there to give it some connection. So a lot to cover next week, to be fair. We need like a 45 to 50-minute episode. We're not going to get that, I don't think, are we?
I don't think so. Like I said, I feel like we're going to get a 38-minute slapper, and that's all we're going to get. And they're like, okay, here you go. And then we wait till April, kind of like Mailkiss said. Maybe we'll see what's going on with that. But I mean, it's not over yet. We still got the season finale, and I think we'll see something good at least.
Yeah, it's not over till the till the fat Andy sings, as they say. And we'll see next week what's cracking. But Malekith, he's like, he doesn't think it's a bad show. It's just not for me. Besides, John besides John, I think the characters are boring. Would like to see John's backstory, which, to be fair, is something we've been echoing much throughout this series, that we need to see more of his background. And what we've just said as well, we need ties to the Mandoverse, because Vane is not enough. It really isn't. So, and then Maria as well, saying that Acolyte, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka were disappointing to many fans. And the Rise of Skywalker on sale, box office disaster. Skeleton Crew is getting really good reviews from the fans. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if Ahsoka was disappointing, to be fair. Not from my point of view, anyway.
You know what's so weird is I've been seeing so much more. I need to just stay off the internet, but when you create content, you can't stay off the internet.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Ahsoka hate lately, and I don't understand. For me, I don't understand. Getting online and saying you hate things for months, and it's just like, okay, give it up. This isn't appealing to anyone. Like, it's crazy how it's making people lose sleep, it seems like. But I've seen a lot of like Ahsoka bashing, like what's gonna happen with Ray Stevenson, what's gonna pick up for the character of Baylan Skoll, like who are we gonna get that can look like Ray Stevenson, weird things like that, where it's just like, well, like we've seen things with Mark Hamill get deep faked into a new actor. I mean, it happens. So obviously Disney has has deep fake money, so I think we'll be all right in that aspect. And maybe and plus we have to see what happens with Baylan. What if he takes on an entity of some sort, to where like the main rumor, maybe he becomes a son, or wants to go into the world between worlds. Who knows? We don't have any idea what's going on next.
He's consumed by Abeloth.
Yes, that would be amazing, dude. Yeah, like bring that on. I want to see that. But yeah, like Maria says, I've seen some of the Ahsoka hate. It's crazy, because I enjoyed that show, and I mean, realistically, still I'm not the biggest Rebels fan. Like, I've only seen it 2 times through. I love most of the episodes. I think they're great, but it's just kind of like they're in trouble. Okay, they're out of it. Here comes a new trouble. But I mean, that's Star Wars. It's something that I don't watch all the time. But I really loved Ahsoka, especially for it kind of taking off with the group from Rebels. So I mean, I enjoyed it.
Travis Mitchell, how's it going, guys? Thank you for joining us, buddy. Appreciate that.
What's up? What up?
Yeah, it's weird, because I mean, I knew Ahsoka got little bits of hate here and there. Obviously, the whole like situation with Sabine and using the Force was very much under scrutiny. In terms of not everyone enjoyed that. I'm definitely one of the ones that was maybe not on the pleasantly surprised or the side of what happened with Sabine in that series. But overall, I obviously loved it, and anyone that knows me knows I'm an Anakin fan, so to see it have him back, absolutely stoked, to be fair. And the rumors that he has a bigger part to play in season 2 as well, I'm looking forward to it. Travis says, I can see the son taking over Baylan, Sam Witwer appearing in live action as the character. Now that would be interesting. Maybe you needed like a physical entity to help release him, and then he like instantly kills him, and then he's free to go and do his own thing. Because we've been dying to get Sam Witwer in live action as himself. Maybe a bit old to play Starkiller now, but that it would be awesome to see him there. And Maria saying, "I want to see Knights of the Old Republic live action movie really so bad." I think a lot of people are with you on that one, Maria. I personally think Knights of the Old Republic is going to work better as a TV series, because to cram as much of that story, if they took on, they obviously unlikely to go verbatim on the same story that we see in the games and stuff like that, but to see it, the characters that we need to see, the Sith Empire, the Jedi Empire as it is at that time, I think you need to stretch that out over a series rather than a film. Wow. 2 hours is not enough to do that. So you need an 8 to 12 episode multi-series event going on there, don't you? So and Travis is saying that he didn't love Ahsoka, but it's not bad. I think it just didn't translate to live action really well. Hopefully season 2 allows them to get used to the format. I mean, that's fair enough. You're taking a lot of characters from animation and bringing them all straight into live action. So there was obviously some criticism from when Ahsoka made her debut in Mandalorian about her tails not being long enough, and they just said, look, it just doesn't work when you're trying to do stunts. We had to shorten them. Not people are particularly liking how Hera looks as well and stuff like that. So it's it's some things you got to let go, unfortunately, I think, for live action when you're going from animation to live action, haven't you? But yeah, I mean, we've got way off subject, to be fair, haven't we? So this is what happens when you talk Star Wars with a lot of interaction, which loving it, by the way, loving all the interaction this week. Thank you, everyone that's been commenting. But yeah, any final thoughts on this week's Skeleton Crew, buddy?
Yeah, back to Skeleton Crew. I think like I said, it's a very strong season so far, but I think for me to give it a higher score, I need a good at least 42-minute runtime, no credits. That's very hopeful, but just wrap up the story to where we can look at it overall and be like, okay, that makes sense. This episode being a filler kind of ties in. This makes sense, because you don't want to waste a minute with Star Wars movie or TV series. You can't. It's like you almost can't afford to have a wasting episode just because it's there. A lot of Star Wars fans talk about the budget that Disney has for these certain TV series, and it's just not matching up in that good way. So like let's hit all these factors. Let's tell a good story. I want to see some cool shit, and I'm good. That's all I need. A good story and cool shit. That's it.
I love that comment from you there, though. It's like Star Wars doesn't have a minute to waste, which is so true, because anytime there isn't something contributing to the story moving forward, or a bit of character development, it's wasting money and time that the fans don't want to see. I mean, a perfect example of this was the part of obviously the best bit of Acolyte we know is when the stranger goes up against the Jedi and kills them all, and we were denied seeing the battle that he had with what was the Wookiee Jedi? I forgot his name.
Kalnaka.
That's it. They said that they cut that fight out for budgetary and time reasons, and I'm like, this is the most expensive TV show you've ever made for Star Wars, and you're telling me that you filmed it already and then cut it out for budgetary and time reasons when you're knocking out 30-minute episodes. So you've got all the budget in the world because you're funded by Lucasfilm and Disney. You've got all the time in the world because every fan wants longer episodes. So I'm just like praying, why can't you give us the time? So you've got time to waste, clearly, because you've got all the time in the world to make these episodes. But at the same point, if you're going to make 30-minute episodes, you can't waste a minute for Star Wars. That's why it made me so sad last week's episode was such a filler episode and stuff like this. So I don't think I'm ever going to let last week's episode go, in terms of like, you've got an 8-episode series and you wasted that whole episode on just that.
Yeah.
Just for this series alone, just within the context of the series, you wasted that episode when you could have been moving the story along and much quicker and had more story to tell there when you've got all this to do in the finale.
Yeah, doesn't sit well, but we can just stay hopeful for next week.
Travis is saying that notice how Jod doesn't squish the creature that comes out of SM's eye, he just nudges it aside. I think that helps put his head back together, and John knows that. Probably looking too deep into it though. So he's thinking that the little creature maybe helps get SM33's head back on there. That could be interesting. And then he follows that up with, it'd be cool if it's the parents who see John and geek out over him being a Jedi, the stories Wim reads, being passed from his dad, and John is reminded of the good person his parents wanted him to be, and then does the right thing. That could be interesting way to go about it. I mean, if he's revered for being a Jedi, and he just sort of takes on that persona and goes, okay, maybe I can do the right thing here.
Hell yeah.
For a reward, give me a little bit of moolah to take back to the Republic, theoretically, and I'll be the good guy. I suppose they could do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll take that as the last. We'll take this as the last comment for today as well. But Maria's saying that I'm praying that the Mandalorian movie is really good. It makes a lot of money. I think we're all praying for that, to be fair. Yeah. I don't really care how much money it makes, to be fair, because I'm going to be watching it either way. So I don't think they're going to be worried about the monetary side of this film and how much it makes, because they're building up this storyline for this interconnected universe. I just think they didn't want to necessarily do a season 4 and thought they can round it off properly and start connecting everything a bit more with the film. So
also too, the money side, when you have this guy in theaters on the big screen, they're gonna make endless. It's gonna look like At-Atten. Disney, Hollywood, Lucasfilm is gonna look like At-Atten as long as this guy's in there. So yeah, just like I said, cool shit and a good story, and I think we'll all be fine.
I'm just thinking of all the little people all the little like droids and people like Grogu that I want to see together on the screen, and how much money that would make Disney and Lucasfilm. Would be unreal. So I mean, we've already had Grogu and R2 together on the screen, which was phenomenal. We need more of that. Their little like shakes together was quite cute, and I'd be like, oh my god. Throwing BB-8 into the mix as well in that sort of timeline. If it's like we talked before about if Grogu got to make an appearance in like any of the post Episode 9 films. And stuff like that with the new Jedi Order and stuff, how absolutely awesome would that be? And this is a comment as well, like Chopper and Grogu together, mayhem.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of scared of that.
God, yeah. I mean, imagine. I mean, we need to have a droid off with Chopper, R2, and BB-8 all together.
Bring them all, man.
Yeah, just so much potential. But buddy, thank you ever so much for, as always, for jumping on, and we've been doing this for the last six weeks now. This is week, yeah, 6, isn't it? Because we had the first 2 episodes together. We've got only a week to go, to be fair, and finale next week for this season-long collaboration between Galactic Core and Clan Brandolorian. I'm just the comments keep coming in, and to be fair, we've been going on a lot longer than we thought we would today. Let's just keep going for it. But Travis saying, movie tagline, centuries ago, Mandalorians and Jedi fought as enemies. Now they rebuild themselves as father and son. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. That would be beautiful. Very melodic. That'd be cool.
And I did miss a comment earlier that I was kind of saving towards the end. And since we're just doing all the comments on it, let's just throw it in. Let me see if I can find it now, because I almost lost it. But I know it was Malekith asking you about the Lego lineup for 2025. There we go. Brandon, thoughts on the leaked Lego Star Wars sets for 2025, since this is your area?
Oh, boom. Yeah, dude. If you're still in here, we got quite the year. You know, we're thinking lots of, 20-year anniversary for Revenge of the Sith. And we don't have there's like 2 sets
20
that you
years,
can pull. Isn't that crazy? Man. But we have a couple sets that are pulled from Episode 3, but I think next year is going to be the year. But I mean, so far we got the most expensive Lego set coming in October, and that's the UCS Death Star, which is going to be $1,000 US, $1,000 US.
So a new Death Star coming out.
Yeah. So hopefully it's like the size of a room. It better be. And like 50 minifigs. I think that would make a good lineup and make the pocketbook look a little bit better.
50. Sorry, did you say 50 minifigs?
I said 50.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's like every character in Star Wars. But Yeah, I mean, I think everything's looking good so far. Really ready for the job of Sailbards, which I'm going to order that in a couple weeks. So that's going to be really nice to have, and then also the UCS Django Fett Slave One. So that's going to be coming out in May. So pretty stoked for that. But yeah, I love all the leak sets, man. I think they look good.
God, what was that I saw that said that I'm really struggling to remember off the top of my head because I'm getting older. My memory's terrible, but I think they were saying there was going to be some sort of surprise release for maybe Black Friday 2025 that was going to have like 7 minifigs with it. It's going to bug me now. I'm probably going to have to message you later on when I found it and Googled it because I'm not going to worry to do that now. But I remember turning to the wife and going, actually, that would be a pretty fucking awesome Lego set if that's actually going to come out then. So yeah. It's annoying the crap out of me that I can't remember what it is now. But Lego, I just want the Venator. I'm not a massive Lego person, to be fair, in terms of like, because I'm very limited space and stuff. And I've got a few 501st mini Lego figures. But apart from that, yeah, me and the wife have always said the only really big Lego thing we want is the Venator. We debated it because the price dropped for Black Friday and we're like quite close to getting it. But again, very limited space. I'm not even sure where it would go, but it's the one big thing we want. I just want the Venator. I just need some sort of Venator because we just don't have one in any other form of like Star Wars like collection items.
Yeah, no, I get it. Shit, maybe you guys could get it sometime once you feel like it, and then you could get like a glass case and make that thing a freaking coffee table.
That'd be dope. That's true. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the wife loves building stuff, so she's like, I'm happy if like we buy it, and she's like, I'll build it and you can display it with your Star Wars stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that works for everyone. I'm down for that. So
that would be one hell of a build.
It would take a bit of time, I think, for sure. So, but new Lego Death Star on the way, cool. 50 minifigs as well. Damn, that's
what I hope for, anyways.
Let's start saving those pennies up now.
Yeah, that'd be something else.
But Poptography, thank you for joining us, buddy. Good episode, gentlemen. I really do appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Next week, then Wednesday, we'll be back. My wife's, I'm hearing justifications now. Just need the money. Yeah, okay. So yes, we're back for the finale episode next week, same time, unless we decide in the meantime otherwise. 4:00 Central Time, 10 p.m. UK time. Make sure you're here for that. I also believe that not this weekend coming, that next weekend we're both going to be guest appearing on the Lights Camera Rant podcast to discuss the finale Skeleton Crew as well. So Lee over there, he loves having the two of us on for Star Wars stuff because we're Star Wars guys. So if you don't get to tune into us, you can always tune into Lee's or tune into both anyway. Why not?
Why not?
You've got plenty of time during your week to watch or listen to 2 different podcasts, and you love listening to our voices. That's why you're here for the episode, clearly. So make sure you're here. Exactly. Way, come on, get those numbers in. Way. But yes, next week Brandon will be back. Finale Skeleton Crew. Make sure, everyone, that you are here to join us for that. But of course, until next time, as always,
the Force will be with you, always.